Specimen acquisition successful, senior biological researcher Vrax9 announced with the smug satisfaction of someone who just got promoted. The human subject appears intact and viable. Congratulations, Director Kazult replied, mandibles clicking with approval. The Council will be pleased. After 4 failed attempts, we finally have a live human for study. I watched from my station, trying not to roll all 3 of my eyes simultaneously. My name is Tezar, junior assistant to the oh-so-important Vrax9, and I was about to become unwilling witness to the biggest disaster in galactic scientific authority history. Senior assistant Tezar, Vrax9 barked, interrupting my thoughts. Prepare the containment cell for preliminary examinations. And try not to break anything this time. Yes, senior researcher, I replied, biting back the sarcasm that would definitely get me demoted to waste management. Again. Our research vessel, the Cosmic Inquiry, had been lurking at the edges of human space for nearly a standard cycle. The GSA Council was desperate for data on these bizarre creatures who had somehow gone from primitive tool users to interstellar travelers in less than 2,000 years. Most species took tens of thousands of years to achieve what humans had done in a blink. The specimen lay unconscious on the transfer platform. Pink beige skin, bilateral symmetry, 4 limbs, and a suspicious lack of natural defenses. Nothing about its appearance explained how these creatures had expanded across 3 star systems in less than a century. Fascinating, Director Kazult murmured, leaning closer. So fragile-looking, yet their military forces have repelled 3 separate attempts at diplomatic first contact. But I snorted. Diplomatic was a generous term for what the Vixari Empire had attempted. Their idea of diplomacy involved a show of force, followed by immediate surrender negotiations. Something amusing, junior assistant? Vrax9 asked, poison sacs visibly swelling beneath his lab coat. No, senior researcher, just clearing my breathing apparatus, I lied, adjusting settings on the containment field. The human specimen was male, according to our limited biological data. Approximately 1.9 meters tall with dark fur hair, they called it on the top of its head. The rest of its body was largely hairless, which seemed like a terrible evolutionary oversight. Transfer to primary containment in 3, 2, 1, I announced, activating the gravity fields. The human floated gently from the transfer platform into the reinforced chamber that would serve as both prison and laboratory. The cell was designed to withstand creatures 10 times stronger than our preliminary data suggested humans could be. Commence revival sequence, Director Kazult ordered, practically vibrating with excitement. Vrax9 nodded to me. Administer the counteragent to the sedative. I pressed the sequence, sending a fine mist into the chamber that would neutralize the compound, keeping the human unconscious. Then I settled in to observe, recording every detail as the human began to stir. First, its respiratory rate increased. Then its eyes began moving beneath the lids. Fascinating. Finally, its appendages, hands, they called them, twitched. Exceptional response time, Vrax9 noted, recording furiously on his datapad. Much faster than predicted. The human's eyes snapped open. Blue, startlingly blue, and immediately alert. That was when I knew we had made a terrible mistake. Most specimens wake gradually. Confused, disoriented. This human went from unconscious to combat-ready in seconds. Its eyes darted around, taking in every detail of the containment cell, the laboratory beyond, and the 3 of us watching it. Senior researcher, I said quietly. Does the specimen seem unusually aware to you? Vrax9 waved a dismissive appendage. Nonsense. The creature is simply experiencing the normal stress response of a captured animal. The human sat up smoothly, no sign of sedative after effects. Then it smiled, showing flat teeth that somehow seemed more threatening than the sharpest predator fangs. Hello there, it said in perfect galactic standard. Mind telling me where I am and who you folks might be? All 3 of us froze. The translation implants we detected and deactivated in the human's body shouldn't have given it our language. This was unexpected. Director Kazult recovered first. It speaks standard. Remarkable. I was unaware humans had mastered our language. We haven't, the human replied, standing now and stretching casually as if it were in its own dwelling and not a high-security containment cell. But I have spent enough time around your kind to pick up the basics. You are Azkatari, right? From the Scientific Authority? Galactic Scientific Authority, Director Kazolt corrected automatically, then looked flustered at having responded. I felt a chill run through my exoskeleton. This wasn't right. The human was too calm, too knowledgeable. Specimen will remain silent unless questioned directly, Vrax-9 commanded, attempting to regain control of the situation. The human laughed. Actually laughed. And that's not how this works, friend. See, I count 3 of you and 1 of me. Bad odds for you. Vrax-9's poison sacs fully inflated, a sign of extreme agitation. The specimen appears delusional. Note possible side effects of the sedative on human cognition. I'm not the one who's delusional, the human said, walking the perimeter of the cell, examining the walls. My name is Jack Vega, Commander, Earth Defense Force Special Operations. And you have made a critical error in judgment. The containment field is impenetrable, Director Kazolt said, but I noticed his mandibles trembling slightly. Your threats are meaningless. Commander Vega smiled again. Not a threat, just a fact. You grabbed the wrong human. I checked the security readings. The containment field was at full strength, energy barriers capable of stopping projectiles and energy weapons alike. The physical structure was neo-titanium alloy. Even the strongest known species couldn't break through without tools. So why did I have the distinct feeling we were the ones trapped? Director, I said quietly. Perhaps we should check his identification against intelligence reports. If he's military. Silence, Junior Assistant, Vrax-9 snapped. This is merely standard resistance behavior. The specimen is attempting to create doubt and division. Commander Vega had stopped pacing and now stood perfectly still in the center of the cell, eyes closed, breathing deep and regular. What's it doing? Director Kazolt whispered. Some kind of meditative state, Vrax-9 replied, though he sounded uncertain. Fascinating. Commence preliminary scans of brain activity. I activated the neural scanner, and the readings made my circulatory fluids run cold. Senior researcher, the human's neural activity is unusual. Elaborate, Vrax-9 demanded. It's synchronized, perfectly rhythmic across all regions. I have never seen patterns like this. Director Kazolt leaned closer to the display. Is it some kind of self-induced trance? No, Commander Vega answered, eyes still closed. It's called focusing, something they teach us in special ops. It helps me map my surroundings, locate weaknesses, plan escape routes. His eyes opened, and that blue gaze locked directly onto mine. You, Junior Assistant. What's your name? Before I could stop myself, I answered. Tezar. Tezar. You seem smarter than your colleagues. So I will give you some free advice. When this starts, get down and stay down. Vrax-9 huffed indignantly. When what starts? Nothing is starting. You are a research specimen, and you will. A distant boom interrupted him, the vibration subtle but unmistakable through the station structure. Commander Vega's smile widened. That would be my extraction team, right on schedule. Director Kazolt's mandibles clicked rapidly in distress. Impossible. Our location is classified. We are operating under complete communication blackout. Yeah, about that, Vega said, rolling his shoulders like an athlete preparing for competition. Those fancy stealth systems you are so proud of? We cracked that tech 2 years ago. We have been tracking your little field trips into our territory, waiting for you to make a move. Another boom, closer this time. The lights flickered momentarily. You knew we would attempt capture? Vrax-9 stammered, poison sacs deflating in shock. Vega nodded. Not only knew it, counted on it. Thanks for the lift, by the way. Saves us the trouble of having to capture one of your research vessels ourselves. The realization hit me like a gravity hammer. You are not a specimen. You are bait. Give the junior assistant a promotion, Vega laughed. Though I prefer the term advanced scout. Director Kazolt lunged for the security alert panel, but Vega's voice stopped him cold. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Director. My team has already neutralized your security forces. Making that call will just accelerate the timetable. As if to punctuate his statement, the research vessel shuddered violently. Emergency lights activated, bathing the laboratory in pulsing red. Attention all personnel, the ship's automated system announced. Security breach in Docking Bay 3. Unknown hostiles have boarded. This is not a drill. Vrax 9 backed away from the containment cell. Director, we must evacuate. Secure the research data and… No one's going anywhere, Commander Vega said calmly. Then he closed his eyes again, took a deep breath, and placed his palm against the containment field. The field that should have repelled him instead rippled like liquid. Impossible. Our sensors showed it was still active, still at full strength, yet somehow. Nano countermeasures, Vega explained, as his hand passed through what should have been an impenetrable barrier, injected before the mission. They are neutralizing your containment technology at the molecular level. Cool, right? With casual ease, he stepped completely through the barrier, which solidified again behind him. The three of us backed away. I reached for my personal defense stunner, but Vega moved with shocking speed, crossing the distance between us before I could draw the weapon. I will take that, he said, plucking the stunner from my holster. Nothing personal, Tezar. Another explosion rocked the vessel, much closer now. The laboratory door sealed automatically as emergency protocols engaged. Right on time, Vega muttered, checking his wrist where a device had suddenly appeared, apparently hidden beneath his skin. Looks like your ship is about to become very interesting. Director Kazolt found his courage. What do you want? If this is about the previous specimens, we can negotiate. Previous specimens? Vega's expression darkened. You mean the other humans you abducted? Yeah, we are definitely going to discuss that. Vrax 9 backed against his research station. The Council authorized the research. We followed all protocols for the advancement of scientific knowledge. Kidnapping sentient beings isn't science, Vega replied coldly. It's a war crime. The ship's communication system crackled to life. Commander Vega, status report. The voice was human, female, and carried the same dangerous calm as Vega's. Vega tapped his wrist device. Package secured, Captain Parker. I have made some new friends. 3 scientists who are very eager to explain their research program. Understood. Resistance is minimal. These eggheads weren't expecting company. We have secured the bridge and engine room. Not extraction in progress. Perfect timing, Vega replied. I was just about to give my new friends a tour of their own ship. With surprising strength, he grabbed both Vrax 9 and Director Kazolt by their upper appendages. Come on, gentlemen. We are going for a walk. Tezar, you too. Stay close. What are you going to do with us? I asked, voice embarrassingly shaky. Vega looked at me with those unnervingly perceptive blue eyes. That depends entirely on what we find in your research files and how cooperative you decide to be. He guided us toward the laboratory door, which remained sealed under emergency protocols. We can't exit during security lockdown, I pointed out. The door won't open without. Vega placed his hand on the control panel. The same rippling effect that had neutralized the containment field spread across the door's security system. The panel sparked, and the door slid open. Technology is funny, Vega remarked conversationally as he pushed us into the corridor. You think you have built something foolproof, only to discover someone else has been studying your foolproof system and figuring out exactly how to make it fail. The corridor beyond was chaos. Emergency lighting cast everything in pulsing red shadows. Distant weapons fire echoed through the ship's structure. And through it all, Commander Vega guided us with the confident ease of someone who knew exactly where he was going. You memorized our ship layout, Director Cazolt realized aloud. Every class of GSA research vessel, Vega confirmed. We have been preparing for this for quite some time, Director. Your government might want to reconsider its research priorities. We turned a corner and came face to face with two security officers, weapons raised. Before they could fire, Vega moved with that same impossible speed, disarming both with precise strikes that left them crumpled on the deck. Like I said, he commented, barely winded, wrong human. As we continued through the increasingly chaotic ship, I couldn't help but ask the question burning in my mind. Why are you keeping me with you? I'm just a junior assistant. Vega glanced at me with something almost like amusement. Because you are the only one who showed concern about whether I might be more than just a specimen. That suggests you have a conscience, Tezar. And people with consciences are useful during negotiations. We reached the main research data center. Two humans in sleek combat armor stood guard outside. They nodded to Vega with respect that bordered on reverence. Commander, one said. Captain Parker says to tell you we have found the previous test subjects. The medical team is prepping them for evac. Relief flashed across Vega's face. Alive? Yes, sir. Sedated but stable. Thank God, he murmured. Then turned to Director Cazolt with cold fury. You are extremely fortunate they survived, Director. The difference between being arrested for illegal research and being spaced without a suit. The doors to the data center opened, revealing more humans in combat gear systematically downloading and analyzing our research data. At their center stood a tall, commanding woman with short gray hair and the hardened expression of someone accustomed to making difficult decisions. Captain Parker, Vega said, pushing us forward. I have brought the research team responsible for our missing personnel. Parker looked us over with clinical detachment. Excellent work, Commander. Her gaze lingered on me. And this one? Junior assistant with a functioning moral compass, Vega replied. Might be useful. Parker nodded once. We have downloaded approximately 60% of their data. What we are seeing isn't pretty. Unauthorized experimentation, surgical procedures, psychological testing. Director Cazolt wilted visibly. Vrax 9 seemed to have gone into shock. The Council will never stand for this invasion, Cazolt managed to stammer. This is an act of war. Parker smiled without humor. No, Director. This is a rescue operation in response to your act of war. The difference will become very important diplomatically. She turned to one of her officers. Time to extraction? 10 minutes, Captain. Demo charges are set to erase any data we can't take with us. Excellent. She faced us again. Here's what happens next. You three are coming with us as evidence of the GSA's illegal activities. Your ship will be disabled, but left intact enough for your crew to be rescued. And humanity will be sending the Galactic Council a very strongly worded message about respecting sovereign borders. I looked around at what had been, just an hour ago, the most advanced research vessel in the GSA fleet. Now it was a war zone, systematically being stripped of its secrets by the very species we had underestimated so catastrophically. Commander Vega leaned close to me. Remember what I said earlier about getting down when things start? This is your chance, Tezar. You are young, smart. You can help make sure this never happens again. As Captain Parker gave the order to move out, and human soldiers efficiently secured us for transport, I realized the true scope of our miscalculation. We had thought humans were fascinating research subjects. We should have recognized them as the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. The human transport vessel was nothing like I expected. Unlike our sleek, sterile research ships, their military craft was all hard angles and practical efficiency. I sat with Vrax 9 and Director Cazolt in what they called a holding bay, though prison cell would have been more accurate. This is outrageous, Vrax 9 muttered for perhaps the 30th time since our capture. The Council will demand our immediate release. The Council, I said quietly, might be more concerned about the fact that we kidnapped military personnel from a species that clearly outmatches our technology. Director Kazolt's mandibles clicked in agitation. Impossible. Our civilization has been spacefaring for 15,000 years. These humans are barely out of their planetary atmosphere. A laugh from the doorway drew our attention. Commander Vega stood there, now dressed in a fitted uniform bearing insignia I couldn't decipher. 15,000 years, he said, entering the room. That's your problem right there. You have been doing things the same way for so long you have forgotten how to innovate. He pulled up something resembling a chair and sat opposite us. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, Director. It's our adaptability, our capacity to look at someone else's 15,000-year-old tech and think, I bet we could make this better in 6 months. Arrogance, Vrax-9 spat. Results, Vega corrected. Your containment field technology? We reverse-engineered it from wreckage we found near Alpha Centauri 3 years ago. Your communication systems? Cracked them 2 years back. While you were busy congratulating yourselves on your superior evolution, we were learning everything about you. I couldn't help myself. Why are you telling us this? Vega's blue eyes fixed on me. Because you, Tezar, are going to be our first official diplomatic contact with the Galactic Scientific Authority. Me? I squeaked, all 3 eyes blinking rapidly in confusion. Captain Parker and I discussed it. You are the only one who showed any ethical concerns during my captivity. That suggests you might actually listen. Director Kazolt surged forward. This is preposterous. Junior Assistant Tezar has no diplomatic authority. He does now, came a new voice. Captain Parker entered, followed by another human female carrying data devices. We have reviewed your ship's logs and research data. Very thorough record keeping. Thanks for documenting all your crimes so meticulously. The second human activated a holographic display showing footage from our own research vessel. I felt my exoskeleton heat with shame as I watched recordings of the previous human test subjects frightened, confused, subjected to procedures they couldn't understand. 4 civilians, Captain Parker said coldly. A teacher, a freight pilot, a nurse, and a student, all abducted from remote outposts, all experimented on without consent. Director Kazolt's mandibles drooped. We followed all standard research protocols for non-spacefaring. We are spacefaring, Captain Parker cut him off. The fact that you are sitting in our ship should make that abundantly clear. Vega leaned forward. Here's what happens next. We are approaching the neutral trading station at Verix X. Representatives from the Galactic Council are waiting. We present our evidence, return your researchers, and negotiate terms. And if the Council refuses to acknowledge humanity's claims? Vrax-9 challenged. Vega and Parker exchanged a look that sent chills through my carapace. Then we demonstrate exactly how we turned your most advanced research vessel into a playground in under an hour, Parker replied. I don't think it will come to that. A subtle vibration indicated the ship was decelerating. We were arriving at Verix X. Tezar, Vega said, walk with me. I followed him out, leaving my superior officers behind. The corridor was filled with humans going about their duties. None spared me more than a curious glance. Your colleagues are correct about one thing, Vega said as we walked. You don't have diplomatic authority. But you have something more important. What's that? You understand what's at stake. If this escalates into open conflict, neither side wins. We entered what appeared to be an observation deck. Through massive viewports, I saw the sprawling structure of Verix X trading station, a neutral hub where dozens of species conducted commerce and diplomacy. Beautiful, isn't it? Vega said, gesturing at the stars beyond. Too beautiful to ruin with war. Why trust me? I asked. I'm part of the team that abducted you. Because you questioned it, he replied simply. That first moment, when you suggested checking my identity against intelligence reports you were thinking while they were reacting. The Galactic Council needs thinkers right now, not reactionaries. The ship docked with a gentle shudder. Through the viewport, I could see the diplomatic reception committee awaiting our arrival, representatives from the Council's major powers, their colorful formal attire indicating a high-level delegation. They are taking this seriously, I observed. 4 kidnapped humans, a hijacked research vessel, and first contact with a species that just demonstrated military superiority? They'd be fools not to. An announcement echoed through the ship. Final preparations for disembarkation. Time to make history, Tesar, Vega said. Ready to help prevent an interstellar incident? What do you need me to do? Tell the truth. All of it. Even the parts that make the GSA look bad. I straightened my posture, dignity returning. I can do that. The diplomatic chamber on Varix was imposing by design: high ceilings, acoustics that carried every word to all corners, lighting that subtly highlighted the speakers while keeping audiences in shadow. I had never imagined standing here, especially not beside humans who had, just hours ago, been systematically dismantling our research vessel. High Counselor Zebru of the Galactic Authority presided, his massive cetacean body suspended in the anti-gravity field that allowed his aquatic species to participate in dry atmosphere proceedings. This emergency session will now commence, he announced, voice resonating through specialized translators. We are gathered to address serious allegations brought by representatives of Earth against the Galactic Scientific Authority. Captain Parker stepped forward, impressive in her formal uniform. High Counselor, members of the Galactic Council. I am Captain Morgan Parker of the Earth Defense Force. We come before you with evidence of multiple violations of sentient rights by GSA research vessels operating illegally in human territory. From there, she presented the evidence methodically: ship logs, research data, medical examinations of the recovered civilians, but all displayed on the chamber's holographic systems for all representatives to review. Director Kazolt, when given opportunity to respond, attempted to frame the research as standard procedure for evaluating newly discovered intelligent species. The protocols clearly permit observation and limited sampling, he argued. Sampling. Commander Vega interrupted, stepping forward. Is that what you call abducting civilians and subjecting them to invasive experiments? High Counselor Zebru raised a massive fin for silence. Commander Vega, while your outrage is understood, protocol must be maintained. With respect, Counselor, Vega replied, his control admirable, humanity did not agree to these protocols. We were never asked, never consulted. The GSA unilateral decisions about our status as a species and acted accordingly. Murmurs rippled through the assembled representatives. The junior assistant will speak, Zebru announced unexpectedly, his massive eyes turning to me. Suddenly the focus of the entire chamber, I stepped forward on trembling limbs. High Counselor, esteemed representatives. I am Tesar, junior research assistant aboard the GSA vessel Cosmic Inquiry. My voice sounded thin even to my own hearing appendages, but I continued. I witnessed the capture and attempted examination of Commander Vega. I also had access to data regarding previous human specimens. I paused, gathering courage. What we did was wrong. Not just procedurally wrong, but fundamentally ethically wrong. We treated sentient beings as laboratory specimens. We invaded sovereign territory without permission. We acted with arrogance born of technological overconfidence. Director Kazolt made a strangled sound of protest, but Counselor Zebru silenced him with a gesture. Continue, junior assistant. The humans could have destroyed our vessel completely. They could have killed our crew. Instead, they disabled our systems, rescued their people, and brought us here for diplomatic resolution. I turned to face the GSA delegation directly. We have mistaken their restraint for weakness, their curiosity for naivety, their adaptability for luck. These are dangerous miscalculations. The chamber fell silent as my words hung in the air. What would you suggest, junior assistant? Counselor Zebru asked, genuine curiosity in his rumbling voice. Recognition, I replied without hesitation. The immediate recognition of humanity as a spacefaring civilization with all associated rights under galactic law. reparations to the affected individuals. And I took a deep breath, a formal apology from the scientific authority. The GSA representatives erupted in objections, but they fell silent when Commander Vega stepped forward again. If I may, Counselor. Junior Assistant Tezar has shown wisdom beyond his station. Earth is prepared to establish formal diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council, provided our sovereignty is respected and justice is served for our abducted citizens. Counselor Zebru's massive body shifted in the gravity field. Captain Parker, what does Earth seek in terms of reparations? Knowledge exchange, she replied promptly. Equal access to the scientific and historical databases of the galactic community. Medical assistance for the affected civilians. And a non-aggression pact to prevent further incidents. I noticed several council representatives visibly relax. They had expected demands for weapons technology or territorial concessions. A reasonable beginning, Zebru acknowledged. This council will recess to deliberate. As the representatives filed out, Commander Vega approached me. Well done, Tezar. You spoke with courage. Will it be enough? I asked. That depends on whether the council values peace more than pride. The deliberation lasted 3 hours by human measure. When the council reconvened, High Counselor Zebru announced their decision with characteristic directness. After reviewing all evidence and testimony, this council finds the Galactic Scientific Authority in violation of established protocols regarding first contact and scientific research ethics. Earth is hereby recognized as a spacefaring civilization with all associated rights and protections. Relief flooded through me. Director Kazolt and Vrax 9 sat in stunned silence. Furthermore, Zebru continued, reparations will be made to the affected human citizens. The GSA will provide full access to medical and scientific databases to aid in their recovery. A formal diplomatic mission will be established between Earth and the Galactic Council. He turned his massive head toward the GSA delegation. The scientific authority will issue a formal apology and review its research protocols. The researchers directly involved will be suspended pending further investigation. Director Kazolt slumped in defeat. Vrax 9 looked as though he might be sick. This matter is thus resolved, pending implementation of these terms, Zebru concluded. Let this serve as a reminder that scientific curiosity must never supersede ethical treatment of sentient beings. As the session ended, Captain Parker approached our delegation. Director Kazolt, your vessel is being returned to GSA custody. Your crew is unharmed. Kazolt could barely meet her gaze. I thank you, Captain. She nodded curtly, then turned to me. Junior Assistant Tezar, Earth would welcome your participation in the new diplomatic mission. Your perspective would be valuable. I blinked all 3 eyes in succession, stunned. I would be honored, Captain. Commander Vega smiled. Told you. Thinkers, not reactionaries. After the formal proceedings concluded, I found myself in a smaller chamber with the human delegation, finalizing details of the diplomatic arrangement. I still don't understand, I admitted to Vega. Your people have every right to be furious, to demand severe punishment. What would that accomplish? He asked. More resentment? More chances for conflict? Humanity has studied enough of our own history to know revenge is rarely the best path forward. But the way you infiltrated our ship, neutralized our technology, was a demonstration, Captain Parker interjected, joining our conversation. Sometimes the best way to earn respect is to show capability while exercising restraint. Vega nodded. We could have responded with military force. Instead, we are establishing diplomatic channels, cultural exchange, scientific cooperation. Humanity plays the long game, Tezar, Parker added. We'd rather have allies than enemies. I thought about everything I had witnessed in the past day, the shocking efficiency of their operation, the advanced countermeasures that had neutralized our superior technology, and now this measured diplomatic response. I believe, I said slowly, that the galactic community has much to learn from humans. And we have much to learn from you, Vega replied. 15,000 years of space exploration? Imagine what we could accomplish together instead of treating each other as threats or specimens. As preparations began for Earth's formal introduction to the galactic community, I watched the humans interact with representatives from a dozen different species. Where once I had seen only research subjects, I now recognized a species that might well reshape the future of interstellar relations. "You know," Commander Vega said, joining me at the viewport overlooking the vast starfield, when I volunteered for this mission, that my commanding officer said something I will never forget. "What was that?" she said. "Sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't the one that destroys your enemy, but the one that turns them into your friend." Looking at the stars where our two civilizations would now travel together, I understood that humans hadn't just turned our laboratory into a war zone. They had transformed a potential interstellar conflict into the beginning of something far more valuable, an alliance that might benefit both our peoples for generations to come. In the end, the most frightening thing about humans wasn't their technology or their military tactics. It was their capacity to adapt, to forgive, and to build something new from the ashes of confrontation. And that, I suspected, was why they would thrive among the stars.